became obvious that there was a fundamental flaw in the system.
Right.
And it was one that was so incredibly simple, but is being made out to be so awesomely complex, deliberately.
Okay, brilliant. Now, Dominic, what exactly is your background?
Well, my background is a weird one, but my background is as a stand-up comic and a voiceover artist, which I've done ever since I left university. And then in the last few years, I became very interested in the financial markets, and in order to delve deeper, I started this podcast, this radio show called Commodity Watch Radio, which was basically an excuse to talk to kind of leading lights and gurus and get their take on things. And then from there, I interviewed a couple of people from Money Week, which is now the best-selling weekly financial publication in the UK.
Get your plug in there.
I got it in for them, not for me. And I interviewed Merrin, who's the editor of that, and she asked me to come and write on commodities for them as a result of that. And so I've been writing on commodities and in particular on gold and silver ever since.
Wow.
And that's my interest in the markets. And you say there is a fundamental flaw in the system, and
Do you
there
agree?
is a fundamental there, very much so, yes.
Okay, so what's your take on the credit crunch? Did you see it coming as well?
I saw it coming, but I didn't see it quite manifesting itself quite like this. We have, at the moment, what is essentially a hugely deflationary spiral. In other words, the price of everything is going down at an alarming rate, and I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought we were going to get inflation and the price of everything was going to rocket. So I saw it coming, but the way it manifested itself, I was wrong about.
Okay, and so...
Maybe you're
Mark.
not wrong. Maybe you're not wrong. Maybe it is going to go that way.
Well, I've been drawing a lot of parallels between the economics of Weimar Germany in the 1920s and now. They had a similar monetary system in place in Weimar Germany. And it was as a result, there were so many parallels between then and now. That's why I thought we had inflation coming, or serious inflation.
But you still think that we are going to have inflation coming?
Oh, yes.
Yes, but it was interesting. Just before they got the hyperinflation in Weimar Germany, commodity prices and stock prices halved. They had a major financial collapse in 1921. Now, if these parallels are true, then we've got major inflation down the road. And at the moment, every effort by every central bank and every politician is highly inflationary. You keep hearing the expressions pumping money into the system, injections of liquidity, and these could all lead to inflation down the road.
Right. Mark Honey, what do you think?
I would agree entirely. I was a bit surprised, like yourself, when everything starts going down, but it's being talked down. I mean, how many weeks ago was it? 2 or 3 weeks ago, everything was inflating through the roof. Suddenly, it's going the other way. This is largely as a result of what the bankers and industry generally is doing behind the scenes to take control of this credit crunch. The credit crunch, in simple terms, for anyone who hasn't got a clue what it's about, is the banks have stopped lending between themselves. So their sources of finance have dried up. Amazingly, the response to that was to pour more money into the system. Money out of our pockets, incidentally. It's not like they just came up with the money out of nowhere. Actually, they did, but we'll get to that point later on. So yeah, I see huge inflation coming. I think the word hyperinflation is probably going to come into it at some point.
So does that mean people won't be able to kind of buy food to eat and things? I mean, it's already happening to a certain extent now.
I mean, we're told not to scaremonger. Anyone who actually starts to tell the truth is then accused of scaremongering. And what that does is it's like putting a wall of ridicule around anyone who does it, because the markets are so sensitive that if you talk it down, then that's what's going to happen to them.
So in 2005, 2006, sorry to interrupt you, anyone who said this thing is going to implode, this thing is going to collapse, was ridiculed.
Exactly.
And so...
Exactly. But that's the way it is within financial services. I mean, having spent a career in it, if you happen to be aware enough to point out that actually what we're doing here is wrong, because if we keep doing that, surely it's going to lead to this. It's like, well, hey, you don't worry about that. Good times are here. Take them.
Right.
But how naive is that? So I spend a lot of time talking to people and actually, to be honest, keeping quiet.